anybody can make underwear, right? But it's about the actual core of the company. Like, what do we stand for? Why did we do it? What's our purpose? And that's something you can't copy. So yes, anybody can make boxer briefs, but I think that's gonna be what differentiates us from others.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life. Welcome to Innovation City.
Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, disruptors, and creators who are changing the way that business happens today. My name is Tyler Kelly. I'm here with my co-host Leigh-Ann Buchanan, and we're at Venture Cafe Miami, the largest gathering of entrepreneurs in South Florida, and on a Thursday night, the largest gathering anywhere in the world. So if you're at or in a Venture Cafe City on a Thursday night, go and be a part of the community. Super excited because we are joined by Alexandra Fuente. Welcome.
Thank you. So Alex, super excited to have you here because first off, you're a badass female founder. Scratch that. Amazing female founder. And you are the founder and CEO of WalkSir. And the title is not clear what it is. So I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about the company in a second. But what I'm super excited to see is that this is a new company. It's, only about 10 months old and you're already at 7 employees. So why don't you just start off by telling us what WalkSir is and a little bit about your astronomical growth so far.
Okay. So first of all, it's underwear obsessed CEO. That's what I like to say. And yeah, WalkSir started March 2019. And we began because we wanted to offer women an option to be comfortable. Undergarments tend not necessarily to be comfortable, depending on the brand, but our mission is to engineer the most comfortable underwear. And so we started with boxer briefs because we thought, okay, men are extremely comfortable. They don't have to change their boxers depending on their outfit, and they can just go to the gym, go to work with the same underwear, unlike us that we sometimes have to change twice or 3 times. So I decided to get, reference from that market and design it for women. And it turns out that it's very comfortable. Not only that, but when women, sometimes it kind of still has the novelty effect of, I don't really want to walk a boxer brief. Like as a woman, I'm good with my panties. But then once women wear it, they feel so powerful, so confident, so unrestricted, then they change their drawer to WalkSir. So that's how we've been able to grow, because once you try it, you make that initial order, you become a customer, a real customer of, with a serious lifetime value. So that's really what attributes the growth. It's just a very good product for women.
And this is not your first time growing and scaling a venture. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your experience as an entrepreneur, as an innovator in perhaps a different market? Yes,
I've always been in consumer products, so that helps. But as opposed from the first one to the second venture, the first one, I made mistakes. And the risk that I took, I like to take risk. The risk that I took sometimes wasn't like the best. So now every time that I do take a little bit of risk, the odds are in my favor. So that's been like the major differentiator between business 1 and business 2. We are self-funded, so that's very important. Like we need cash in the bank. And, for the larger POs, it's funny because in the beginning we started making POs and our POs were ridiculous, like $15,000 PO or even less. And now it's like, whoa, like when did I get to make a PO so high, it's amazing, right? So that's why we have to be careful, because any wrong move, any wrong partnership can drain us. And if we do get drained, then that's when we have to ask for venture money. And that's not the objective here.
Undergarments, boxers for women, WalkSir. at some point, that's something that could possibly be copied, right? So what type of challenge does that present, and how are you addressing that?
Yes, I mean it's more about branding at that point, because underwear, it's low, and the barrier for entry is very low. Anybody can make underwear, right? But it's about the actual core of the company, like what do we stand for, why did we do it, what's our purpose. And that's something you can't copy. So yes, anybody can make boxer briefs, but I think that's gonna be what differentiates us from others.
So tell me, what is the purpose?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, first is to provide women with comfort, but we wanted to make a superior quality product. The fabric that we use is superior. Where we make it is superior. The way that we do not impact the environment, or we don't have that bad impact on the environment manufacturing our products, and we make sure of that. It's different. So right out of the bat, our product costs more to manufacture because of all these things that we make sure. Like, we see the factory's payroll. We have an auditor on the factory. And it's actually a connection. I found this manufacturer through a connection. So we're friends now, family friends. And this is all important for our core, right? Because customers now are very informed, and they ask and they want to know, like, who's behind this, and I remember people asking, do you have sweatshops? Where do you manufacture? And this is something that it's bringing, there's more light now to these things. So that's one, the quality of the product is superior. Or the way we even cut the seams, cut the underwear, it's less seams, meaning that it's more expensive because you waste more fabric. So when you hold an underwear and you see a bunch of seams, one in the sides, or two on the sides, on the front and in the back, I mean, you should never have an underwear with so many seams, but usually it's one in the back and then in the front or on the sides, and that's how you know that they're trying to save on fabric. So when you have the less seams you have, the more complicated it is, the more fabric you waste, therefore the more expensive your unit is. So we don't. It's okay for us to have a more expensive unit if, as long as it doesn't compromise comfort. That's what we do. And that's also a very differentiator. And then our mission, it's we want to be the brand that gives back the most to the community. Obviously, we're still early, so it's harder to give back. We do try to do personal things, but we want to be the brand that gives the most to the community in undergarments in the industry. So that's also where we're heading.
You talked a lot about some really amazing core values around the company, which is sustainability, being very intentional about your design, thinking about how you have an impact on the community. And I'm curious to understand, what is Alex's why? What is your why and your purpose and your passion as an entrepreneur?
When I was 12 and people would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would say CEO. I did not know what it meant, okay? But I still said it because I knew that it meant that I was going to own businesses. So I've had this in me since little. I did not know what industry I was going to end up in. I didn't know what I was going to like, but to me it's more of a, this is the business model, this is the process, let's make it work. Let's see how we can improve that. That's what really drives me. And my end goal really is I kind of want to be inventor money. I want to, and definitely help women entrepreneurs. Like, that's, I think, where my money would go. But eventually I want to invest in other businesses. I want to be an investor. And I have a goal of just being a philanthropist at a young age. So I want to donate as much money as possible while on the earth. So that's my why.
I love it. There's not a lot of female women of color investors. There's a huge gap.
I heard of one recently. I can't remember her name, but she's super famous.
I wonder which one.
I have to give you the name. But she's a really amazing woman.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
There's a probably a handful. And you're going to be a future investor. So have you given any thought to what your investment philosophy might be? What would be the statement that sums up who you're investing in and why you're investing in those types of companies and founders?
Yeah, it's really about the founder, the founding team, and that's really what matters, because at the end of the day, if for example, I know that if you've had various business, that you're less likely to make a mistake because you already did it on the first, from personal experience. But it's more always about the founder, and the drive that they have. Like, do they want to exit the business right away? Do they really care? Is this for the money? What type of product did you make? What was your why? I think that's the most important when making an investment decision.
So you talked about how you've always wanted to be a CEO, even when you didn't really know what that meant.
Yeah.
What's that experience like? Like, you mentioned some of the mistakes that you made and that you're not making now, but like, walk me through that. Like, what was your, looking back, greatest mistake, and what did you take from that into this venture?
I would say the gut feeling. That's a real thing. Making deals that, sometimes we would get into, since I was in direct response, and that meant that we would have to buy TV time. Sometimes the contracts were annual, right? And then you have to kind of, hey, okay, I'm going to air this many millions a year with you. And I had the feeling, right, of, hey, don't go into this contract, because somehow, like, it was just a feeling, like, the numbers really don't make sense. You're going to have to work extra hard to actually make the contract work. And then going into these deals, that at the end of the day weren't beneficial. Like, you either break even or don't make money. So things like that. It's more of like the risk aspect, or making very, very good decisions, like, that will affect not on the short run, but in the long run. That's the biggest one I remember. I can't really, hiring as well, very important, to culture, instead of just, hey, I know you and you know me, and then I heard so much good of you, and then you can't get rid of the person, although you want to, and then it's like, so yeah, I think that I had 12 employees, and definitely the job could have been done with like 7. And because I didn't hire the right people, it was more employees, more payroll, more off the bottom line. So,
been there, done that.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about the importance of trusting your gut and your intuition. Can you give us an example of when you followed your intuition and it led you in the right direction?
For us, it's more about product development, and because we're still so new, and every decision matters in the beginning, what product to take out next, right? So we're boxers, but do we want to go into like the best-selling product, which is briefs for women, or do we want to keep growing our boxer line and, for example, take a real boxer, but for women, a loose boxer for women? So those are the type of things that I would typically, so we're going to, make this first or this second, and then, so those are the type of decisions now that I listen to my gut before releasing a new product.
Leigh-Ann was asking about being a woman of color investor.
Yeah.
What's it like to be a woman of color entrepreneur? And, some of the challenges there, some of your personal experiences, and just some of the resources that you've, come into contact with and taken advantage of.
You know what? I haven't really taken advantage of that aspect. I'm Hispanic, and I'm also part of the LGBT. So there's 2 minorities there that I can possibly take advantage of, right? Because there's some opportunities for those 2 different minorities. But I really like to just keep an open mind when it comes to like people. I don't really, I know a lot of people that go through biases, and that they walk into a room and they say, this is a lot. I have a lot of personal friends that have had personal experience where they're literally like 6 white men in a room, and they get told like the worst things, even asked about their relationships, their you look like my wife, you're a perfect housewife, like stuff like that, right? But I haven't really experienced that, and I think it has to do with the fact that men from the get-go, they're like, put me in a category which is, okay, this, I can't have any, since I'm a lesbian, they're like, put me in another category from the beginning, so I don't have that really tension with men. So I think that helps in a way. But at the end of the day, I really don't. I when I talk to people, there's, what matters is how we can help each other, how we can communicate, and that's how I try to like look at things. I don't try to like cause problems, or I'll ease the problem in that sense.
Now you're a part of WinLab.
Yes.
And what's your experience been like there?
I recommend it to any woman entrepreneur in Boston and Miami. Definitely, I think you do have to have traction to come in the program. But even if you have like if you haven't made any sales but your product is there, then you can also apply. And it's great because it puts you in a sense of a real venture. Like, it gives you a plan to where you have to have board meetings every month. You have to report to people. You have to plan in advance. You have to forecast 3 years, so you know what you're going to be doing for the next years. And okay, if you forecast a certain amount of money or revenue for a year, how are you going to get there? Because it can't, you can't just throw numbers out there. So it puts you in that mentality of forward thinking, forward looking. And also you're spending your time with people that have multiple businesses, people that have exited businesses. So you don't want to waste their time, so every minute counts. So you want to go out there and really get as much as you can from the people. And we meet over 100 people there that are doing things in Miami ecosystem. So it was a great experience for me.
You talked a lot about forecasting, what WalkSir will look like in 3 years and where you're trying to go. So if we were to fast forward 5 years down the road, what does your company look like, and what impact is it having on the world?
So let's fast forward 7 years.
Even better.
Yeah. Because
my favorite number.
That's really lucky numbers. Because we have a mission to make it to 100 million in 7 years. Mm-hmm. It's a 100 million brand. I think it's very doable. The growth percentages are not over, the first years are not over 300, nothing too crazy. And then towards the end, it starts going to 33%, 25% year growth. So it's very achievable. The way things look now, it's very, very achievable. We'll have global operations. We definitely want to open some retail experiences, not retail stores, retail experiences. Don't ask me how that's going to look, because we're still thinking about that. I'm doing a lot of research on future, right? Because we always now, we have to think about future. When I came into apparel, I was used to not really thinking that into the future, but apparel has to think like a year and a half in the future. So that was a little bit of a struggle there. But 7 years from now, global operations, possibly men line, because I'm tired of men saying, I want Woxers. And it's boxers, not Woxers. So possibly men line with a awesome way to get into the men that I won't reveal because it's a secret. But you're going to want to get, if you're a guy, you're going to want to get gifted this. That's for sure. Then definitely giving back in a big way, I like Sarah Blakely from Spanx, the way that she gives back. I admire her for that. But we want to beat her, so at giving back. So I think she'll be happy about that. Giving back to women empowerment, possibly to the WinLab, so programs like this, and maybe even start one, right? Because that's where I want to head anyways, investor. And I really want to focus on fabric innovation, and I recently had a talk with a veteran from the WalkSir men's underwear. He was one of the first people to actually, before men used to wear tidy whiteys, whatever they used to call them back in the day, but he actually made the WalkSir popular. So he was telling me about new technologies, about machines that we can possibly use to create boxer briefs or undergarments that is not in place now. So that was very interesting. So I kind of want to take it to that level of innovation. We always got to innovate because, new generation grows every 20 years, 15 years. And then if you don't innovate, then you stay behind. So a lot of innovation coming. And then a full apparel brand, right? Like not only underwear, but loungewear and everything that has to deal with comfort.
So are you ready for the lightning round? What I can take away from your presence and your focus is that you're an avid learner. I can tell that you just love to learn. And so my first question for you is, what is the biggest lesson you've learned in life or business?
Starting off big.
Biggest lesson in business. Okay. People have already done things, right? Whatever you're about to do, whatever it is, whatever business it is, somebody has already done it. Find that person, look at their experience, see what they did wrong, see what they would have done better, and then do it. That's something that's working very good for me.
Favorite restaurant?
I'm gonna say the Fontainebleau restaurant. I can't remember the name. Scarpetta. Yeah.
First thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
I have a routine. I say thank you. I say 3 things that I did the day before that I liked. I say 3 things that I have to take care of today, the most immediate things that if I didn't do anything but those 3 things, or at least the first thing of that list, so I can remind me like high level and not get distracted on other things. So I say those. And then I used to go to the gym, but 2 months ago I haven't had time to go to the gym. It's been so busy. But hopefully we can, now that the Win Lab is over, I can retake it. And then after that, a couple, like 10 minutes in silence, and then start work.
So what do you spend too much time doing?
Too much time doing? Working.
Startup life, though.
Yeah.
So what was the last book you read?
Pitch books. Yeah. A TED Talk. The book on, I can't remember the exact title, but it's the TED Talk book. Like the best, it's a compilation of the best TED Talks.
What person would you like to have dinner with, dead or alive?
I want to say Steve Jobs.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
So what is your superpower?
I love people.
It's a good superpower to have.
Yeah.
That's a great place to end it. Alex, social media, websites, where can we buy WalkSirs, men and women?
Not men.
Like, what, we can buy them, right?
Oh my God! How about you? I'll send you one, and you try it on, and you tell me how it feels.
Okay.
I'd like a sample too, please.
I'll give you guys a promo code. WalkSir.com. Follow us, Instagram. We are WalkSir. By the way, we've had a incredible growth in our Instagram. We went from 5,000 to 60,000 within 8 months, and it's crazy because now we're growing at the level of like almost Spanx, like Everlane, Third Love. Like we're growing at that level, our Instagram account. So it's been a nice ride with Instagram, and then we have a TikTok too, so awesome. Find us on TikTok, WalkSir.
Awesome. Well, Alex, thank you so much for being here today. And this was a great conversation. I learned a lot, and I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Innovation City. If you like this episode, you can find more episodes at innovationcity.co or anywhere where you watch or listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and we'll see you next week.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye.